Last year, we saw the release of one of the worst CODs of all time in the form of Modern Warfare 3, which was so bad in fact that it genuinely made me lose faith in COD as a franchise. Despite me having no faith in COD whatsoever anymore, there was still that last little bit of hope that I had left for the franchise. And when Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was announced to be the next Call of Duty game for this year, I will not lie when I say I was genuinely looking forward to it. From everything we saw of Black Ops 6 leading up to its release, from the new Omni movement system, zombies, and multiplayer in general, it looked like it was going to be one of the greatest Call of Duty games of all time. Fast forward to now with the game having been out for a week already, and I gotta say, this might very well be one of the best Call of Duty games I've ever played. Everything about Black Ops 6 is absolutely incredible, from the awesome campaign to the incredibly fun multiplayer and zombies. In my opinion, Treyarch and Raven really hit it out of the park with this game. With all that being said though, I think it's time we talk about Black Ops 6 and find out what exactly makes it so awesome. Now before I get into talking about the campaign, I want to start off by saying that while I may not be going into spoilers for the plot, there will be gameplay spoilers that I'll bring up here and there, so if you want absolutely nothing spoiled for you, I'll leave a timestamp up on screen so you can skip ahead. With all that out of the way though, after playing through Black Ops 6's campaign myself, I think I can safely say that it's probably one of the best COD campaigns I've played in a long while. Even if you don't agree with me on that, you still have to admit that it's a hell of a lot better than whatever the hell MW3's campaign was. Gone are the tedious Warzone / DMZ like missions from MW3's campaign, because BO6 brings back the more traditional COD campaign formula. It follows a similar structure to that of Cold Wars, where that game put you in a safe house which served as the main hub for the campaign, except this time in BO6 the safe house is a lot bigger and feels more fleshed out, which I absolutely love. There's so many different puzzles and things hidden all around the safe house, which adds a bit more depth to it, which I felt was always lacking with Cold War's safe house. Now as far as the story, the game takes place after the events of Black Ops 2's 80s timeline, and it does a really good job of building off of what Black Ops 2 had already built with this story. Then as far as the main missions go, they're all incredibly fun and never overstay their welcome. If anything, that's where BO6 campaign shines the most, is the missions as well as the variety of said missions. Throughout each mission in the campaign, you're constantly doing something different, like sneaking around Capital Station to break into a CIA black site, straight up assassinating a crime boss, or sneaking around a casino while hiding in plain sight. When I was playing through the campaign for this video, I was absolutely blown away by just how good the missions were in this game. There wasn't a single point where I felt bored playing through the story because it did a great job at keeping me hooked and engaged. Now it is worth noting that this campaign is a bit on the longer side, which is a bit different compared to other CODs, since the usual length for a COD campaign is like 4 hours minimum, but when it comes to BO6, the extra length really helps strengthen the campaign in my opinion. It never feels like it drags on, since as I said, every mission is fun, engaging, and different from the last. Overall, the campaign of BO6 is pretty damn good, and if you've been on the fence about trying it yourself, I highly suggest it, as it's 100% worth your time. If you're already a big fan of the Black Ops campaigns, I really think you'll enjoy BO6's campaign for all it's worth. With that though, I think I've said all there is to say about the campaign without going into spoilers, so how about we move on to talking about the multiplayer. Now before BO6 came out, the question on everyone's mind was, how was the multiplayer gonna be? As we all know, multiplayer hasn't been the greatest in the last few years in COD, MW3. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, I think it's safe to say BO6 might have one of the best multiplayers of all time. If you disregard some of the maps, that is, but we'll get into that later. I'm not lying though when I say I haven't had this much fun playing a COD multiplayer since MW2 2022. First of all, the gameplay in the multiplayer is outstanding with the Omni movement, and because of that, everything just feels so smooth. It's so fun sliding and diving around each map and getting kills in the most ridiculous ways possible. The part where I feel BO6's multiplayer really shines though lies with the progression, because holy shit, Treyarch absolutely nailed the progression this year. Leveling up in this game is by far the easiest it has ever been when compared to other CODs, as the grind doesn't really feel all that bad. I mean, in just a week of playing the game, I'm already close to prestiging, which I think says a lot about how fast you can level up in this game. Camo grinding in this game is also especially easy, since you don't have to level up each gun before you can start working towards the mastery camos, which is really nice. On top of all that, we also got classic prestige back, so you can prestige at your own pace and aren't forced to abide by the game's rules, like when they tried to force seasonal prestige onto us in MW BO2 and 3, which absolutely no one liked. And while we're on the topic of things no one liked, we might as well talk about the maps. The maps in BO6 are where the multiplayer kinda takes a nosedive for the most part. Now in my opinion, some of these maps are not really that bad. I really enjoy the chaos of Stakeout, Warhead is a decent map, and I absolutely love the charm of Rewind. In total, there's 16 maps, which is a pretty solid amount of maps in my opinion. When it comes down to it though, regardless of what you think of the maps, the biggest problem is the spawns. These maps are absolutely atrocious when it comes to where you spawn in them because 99% of the time, you'll usually end up dying immediately after respawning. Depending on the map, you almost always never have a time to breathe because you're constantly at risk of getting spawn killed. When you disregard that though and you look at some of the maps for what they are, not all of them are really that bad. Now in terms of actual modes, they're about what you would expect from a Call of Duty game at this point. Search and Destroy, Hardpoint, TDM, Free-for-all, nothing really out of the ordinary. For some reason though, there's no party modes in this game, which I thought was a little weird. We did recently just get infected, which is pretty fun as usual, but the fact that there's no gun game and sticks and stones at launch is a little disappointing. We did at least get Gunfight though, and as a fan of Gunfight, I'm pretty happy about that. At the end of the day though, even with the lack of party modes and the fact that the maps aren't as perfect as people hoped they would be, the multiplayer is still a really fun time. Everything about this game's multiplayer is just so damn good, and that even extends to the little things as well. I mean, hell, this game brought back theater mode, it's got some pretty sick looking calling cards and emblems, and the operator selection is pretty damn good. Plus, being able to use the zombies operators like Weaver, Carver, Maya, and Gray in multiplayer is the coolest thing ever, and I'm so glad Treyarch allows us to do that. Speaking of which, I think it's time we talk about the best mode in the entire game, Zombies. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. BO6 has the best zombies mode of all time. I don't care if it's just Cold War Zombies 2.0. I like Cold War Zombies, damn it, and BO6 Zombies takes everything that made that game Zombies so fun and expands on it to make it even more fun. Not to mention, this game also takes things from BO3 Zombies, so all you BO3 Zombies fans can finally be happy for once. What things does it take from BO3 Zombies, you might be asking? Well, Gobblegums, of course, except now they're actually good because not only are they awarded to you throughout your time of playing zombies, but you don't have to spend points to get them in game as well. On top of Gobblegums, there's also a new perk called Melee Macchiato, which enhances your melee attack, and even a new support item, which allows you to turn into a fucking mangler. You even have the option to use the crew operators or normal operators, depending on if you want a more story-driven zombies experience, which is an awesome feature, as not everyone has been a fan of operators and the lack of an actual crew in modern zombies. And as if it couldn't get any better, the maps themselves, those of course being Terminus and Liberty Falls, are some of the best zombies maps we've ever gotten. Liberty Falls is a damn good casual map and has an Easter egg that can be done in like 30 minutes to an hour depending on your skill level, and Terminus is the perfect map to play on if you're seeking a challenge. When it comes down to it though, Black Ops 6 Zombies is a really fun experience and I highly recommend giving it a try. With that being said though, I think it's time we wrap things up. In conclusion, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is a damn good Call of Duty game and nails just about everything it does perfectly. With how good everything in this game is, it's hard to deny that it's not worth the $70 to $100 price point. The best part is though, is that you don't even have to pay that $70 to $100 to experience this game if you really don't want to, since the game is included with Game Pass. If you have an Xbox or PC and have Game Pass, I'd recommend giving BO6 a try, since even if you don't end up liking it in the end, you would have lost nothing but your time and storage space. Now, if you're a PlayStation fan on the other hand, either fork up $70 or just, I don't know, go back to playing Astrobot.